All right, a little bit of inside baseball here. Practicing for when I do this for races and such. Spare battery, little case. I can tell this is going to take a little bit of practice because the remote is not wanting to connect to the camera after I switched batteries. Oh, there it went. Okay. Just takes a little bit. So in the summer with sweat, or if it's raining, I already managed to drop the battery. Did the battery? I don't know. Or the case in there. But anyway, and then I got a TPU inner tube. And I know which batteries I've changed out because I got two purple ones and one that's like, I think it's light blue. So I started with the purple one, put in another purple one. So that's two batteries in, and then the third one is blue. Always use colors if you can to help you out. And I think we're about to do some downhill gravel riding. Oh, there's going to be a lot of gravel coming up. So for fuel and water, I'm 2 hours in, almost. So we'll put my next water bottle there, my unused water bottle, or mostly used one for there, because it's easier to grab when it's up front, especially when you're off-road and such. And looking to see, yeah, I'm blinking. And, oh, by the way, I've got power meter pedals, Asioma, blah, blah, blah. And also I could use a little bit of water. And then after this, we're gonna start dipping into the Camelback. Getting kind of close to the turnaround point. And also we need to talk about, I took my Trek Speed concept in and told them to put in the fattest front tire they could. Now this is a 2015 with caliper brakes. But the fork's so wide for aerodynamics. Guess what size tire they managed to put in that thing? A 32, and it's got about a millimeter, 2 millimeters of clearance between the top of the tire and the fork. And I just rode it around the block, and you could immediately tell it's 70 psi, 65 psi. Oh, so cool. All right, let's bomb down this hill. I also thought I want a fresh battery so the battery didn't stop in the middle of this, because I want to record it, or maybe not, in case I crash, because this could get a little nuts. Some of the hardest part is when you get this shade on the road that's dappled. Like, you can't see the holes. As you go in and out of shade and sun. Like, here's a sketchy part right here. Okay, I think they bladed the road recently because that was really smooth compared to usual. A lot of times it's more like this, where it's like rough and like you don't know what's coming. You end up hitting a hole and going airborne. I've done that. Also, I have a suspension stem, which takes the shock off. But it only really works if you're out on the hoods. Because it does this. The closer you are to the stem, the less it works. So that was fun. Another good use of technology in training on the bike. On the run, kind of depends. But definitely on the bike, it's auto pause. Oh, here's another one. Okay, here we go. Never looks as bad on camera as it is in person. Especially if you got to turn in this thing. I'm way back over the rear wheel, riding the brakes. See, here it's a little sketchy, rough. And when it's rough, you just get back over the rear wheel and just commit. You learn from mountain biking. Oh my God. That's cool. So if you got auto pause on, with biking for sure, you don't have to remember to turn things off and on. And man, you come to a stop, you know, and all that stuff. But also it just reminds me, you know, the marginal space of battery life. Okay, I don't think the camera's centered right, but I still want to get this, if the metrics are recording slope. Doing about 300 watts in my easiest gear to get to the top of this thing. We'll get to the top and redirect the camera a little bit. I figured out a little bit. I also got to be careful how loud you talk in some areas. I know there's dogs up here. Let's see if we can redirect this camera. So it was all shaky, maybe because there's a, you can't tell, but with the screen here, there you go. There's a reset, recalibrate your gyroscope in the camera function. And after I did that, I went out for an hour ride the other day, and everything was smooth after that. Hey, there's a dairy cow over there. We don't have a lot of dairy cows in Texas. That's a Wisconsin and Vermont kind of thing. All right. Got to climb up this next little rise here. And they've got another big bomb down a hill. Although we'll be going to a headwind, so it won't be quite as fast. But it is fun. So I think right now I'm running about 20 something miles a week. I think 6 and 6, 12 and 9. Yeah, 22. Here we go. And it's to get over a running injury. I have to run very level ground and very smart, very gently. Here we go. One cool trick people forget about is you can use the dorsal flexion in your feet as suspension. I don't know if y'all can hear me. See, I can't see crap right here. Big bump. So what I mean by that is if you get up off the saddle and stand, but flex your knees and flex your ankles so they're soft. That acts as suspension. And bend your elbows and let the bike act like the entire wheel set, bouncing all over everything. And your arms and legs and your feet act as the dampening and suspension. And it really works. The thing is you really can't pedal that much while doing it. And that's why true suspension's a little better, or a lot better. But the biggest trick is to lift your butt up off the saddle an inch or two. And don't lock out your arms. Let your arms flex. And let the whole bike just do this. And take all the hits. And keep your waist up, body, torso, shoulders level. All right. Yeah, if we didn't have a headwind, that would have been way faster. Still really fun. Also, I'm cutting off of this route a whole bunch of little out and backs that I usually do in the name of time. Because I want this to be less than a 5-hour ride, not a 6-hour ride. And we're going to have a headwind on the way back. Okay, be right back. All right, we have here some longhorns. There's a shorty. Hey, buddy. How's it going? And 1, 2, 3. You didn't used to see them. They kind of like faded out of popularity. And then I'd say about 20 years ago, maybe more, people started bringing them back. And one of the coolest things about them is they're really chill. There's a big one up here. Which can't get much more Texas than this. Look at this. There's another one right here. Hey! Yeah. Oh, there's a big one right over there. Another one over here. I had a coworker that would ride her longhorn cow with a saddle. All right, we are pulling into Independence, Texas. Just missed the sign for it. It's so windy. It did get the voice command. We got a nice little climb right here. Old couple out on their porch. So another good use of technology that I was really struggling with this camera, right? They'd be like, oh, you're trying to be all zen and da, da, da. There's an old stone well over there. You got all this digital equipment. Well, then again, the trick is to try to take the excessive technology out of it, but use the technology. So I figured out how to use the voice commands, and it makes it way easier. It's actually kind of a joy to use. Okay. As we go west from the prairie, more towards the hill country, like towards Austin, you start to see more and more stone. This is made out of local sandstone right here, I bet. Here's a roadie. A lot of German names. That stone fences are very typical of German countryside. We're gonna go back behind me this way and look at that gas station right there. It's really cool. It's not long for this world. But okay, we're in Independence. We'll read these signs right here. Turn off the bike computer. Freeze frame them, you can read them. Independence School. Freeze your cameras on that. Independence, this. CSA is Confederate States of America. It's history, so don't get too upset. History's real. And then here's about the story of independence. 1835, it looks like. Stagecoach Depot. Independent Postal Service. Here. And then here's the town square. Independence, what town looked like. Freeze your frames here and read more about it. We got to keep going. I've read this stuff a bunch of times. It's pretty cool. There's actually an Independence flag right there. It's pretty cool. That might be one of the original flags of the country of Texas. Oh, and behind me, up the road that way, see these mix of houses that are stone and wood. But that way is the original campus of Baylor University, and it burned down and they moved it or something like that. So if you're a Baylor fan, you could come out here and see where you were born. Anyway, I like this little sign right here. It looks like they built a little pavilion right here. Independence since the early 1820s. They probably don't even know. And then a visitor center right here. A little bit more stuff all about independence. And might be the oldest operating gas station in Texas. There's a little store inside. We're about to go by it. Check it out. The gas pumps do work. And I go inside. I used to get water from in there, but I found a better spot. See oh, it's open. You can go in. Those gas pumps actually work. And there's a barbecue joint inside. And more stuff. I guess this is the old town square. But what's also famous here is the Texas, is it called the Texas Rose Emporium? But anyway, it's beautiful. It's a big flower garden that's free to the public to walk around in, but you can also rent out space. I've been to a wedding here. Somebody's trying to do some sort of New Mexico something right there, and there's a tiny home like that. Let's see if I can get to this Rose Emporium the back way, because there's a public bathroom. That's where I can reload on water. Very cool. Very chill and very relaxed. There you go, Baylor University, original campus historic site. Antique Rose Emporium, that's what it's called. So we're going to turn in right here. Gosh, I hope the bathroom's not locked. Let me have to use that other, looks like they're closed. All right, let's see. Isn't this pretty? Bathroom's open. Oh my. It's got a lock on it. Okay. I don't see a water spigot. Nope. Okay, I'm going to be on my own for a little bit. Let's head over to the gas station and get some more. Okay, we're on our way back to the gas station. A true marginal gain that we talk about a lot in cycling lately is, you know, not wasting energy for reasons, because you have choices on what tires you buy and stuff. So Kai just did a road race yesterday, 66 miles, and he's riding gator skin tires. And, you know, that's like, I don't know, maybe 20 watts of lost power. And I said, you know, he has to make a choice. He wants tires that aren't going to go flat so he can train a lot. But I said, make sure you tell your coach so your power numbers make more sense. All right, we are in the back gas station here. Here's men. There used to be a sign right here that said, "Don't feed the goats." There's a goat right there. And I've been here before. TV's running, like on the weekday in the middle of the week. And I was out here researching a gravel route. This place is full of people eating barbecue and chopped beef sandwiches and such. So what I was going to do is show you how I add sodium to my water along a ride. This is just over a liter. These are like 22 ounces, just over a liter. There's 4 servings of liter, 4 liters of sodium in this. So basically a fourth of this, just over a fourth of this would cover 2 of these bottles. That's a little bit of fuel in there. That ain't gonna hurt anything. That probably makes the water go down a little bit better. So just turn this upside down to a little bit more than a fourth. What do y'all think? Yeah, sorry about that. Boom. Okay, that's done. Jersey pocket. Then add water. There is almost no water pressure. Let's do both. Okay, now shake this up. Now split this evenly between these two bottles. Boy, that looks like you're in luck. Right there. Until I got my nice bright jersey on so cars can see me. And a little bit more. Boom, 50-50. Like that. Let's top this one off. Pretty much. There's one bottle. And then another bottle. I'm gonna leave the camera on when I leave so you can see this is a functioning grocery store. And then I'm out. They can't be like, why is that red light on? Because I'm leaving, I'm escaping. Boom, like that and that. Okay, I've got refilled water that's electrolyted and get back on the biking, let's go. There we go. Unfortunately, what's going to happen is, so we're going to put this back here. This one doesn't leak as much, so we'll do this one vertically. Someday this gas station is going to be gone, replaced with a Chevron or something like that. And it'll be sad, because it's a really cool gas station. And trying to get the remote back into this thing without setting off any buttons. I feel like I'm failing. There we go. I think we're okay. Put my sodium back in this thingamajobber. And that is how you do that. See, the problem is if you electrolyte your fuel, right? All your electrolytes in your fuel, then you have to drink the amount of water with your fuel to compensate for the electrolytes, to dilute the electrolytes, or else you get sick to your stomach. If you electrolyte your water, then it's always the right amount. If you drink more water or less water, I drank way less water than I thought I was going to do so far today because it's been a lot cooler. It's such a smarter way of doing your electrolytes. And one thing you could do is electrolyte your fuel some, because you know you are going to drink some water with it. But anyway, so I said, I looked at Kai's power graph and I'm like, dude, your workout was awesome. He got 20th out of 46 people this road race. I'm like, yeah, you're being held back by your tire choice. But road racing really isn't his primary thing. He's a mountain biker and a gravel racer. And he's got high-end tires for that, you know? So I said, you know, like if you wanted to be a high-end Ironman, high-end road racer, whatever, you would buy GP 5000s, either tubeless or with latex inner tubes, and they're so supple. You know, your savings, I've ridden them so much. They are just wonderful. That was fun. Y'all got to see the inside of an ancient Texas countryside gas station. I've been in there. People grocery shopping. They got tiny little grocery carts in the corner. It's cool. All right. All right. We're in a situation here, which is another marginal gain. Even though I'm going really slow and uphill, I'm parked in the aero bars because I'm going into a really strong headwind. And your bike doesn't care how fast it's going on ground speed, it's wind speed. So I had somebody comment a while back, how can you be in aero bars? You talk about going easy, not trying so hard. Trying to wrap my mind around it. But aero bars actually make things easier. Especially because they're also known as comfort bars. And once you learn to just sit in them, it gives your hands a break. It's this huge marginal gain. I'm able to take 15 to 20 watts off my climbing because I'm going to the headwind because I'm in the aero bars. Or if I was on flat ground or downhill, whatever. Just crossed my mind while I was climbing this thing. And it takes a load off your back. All kinds of great stuff. This radio tower coming up is the high point. I keep saying that. I'll mean it at some point. We're going this headwind. And it just makes everything easier. And then I hear people complaining about headwinds all the time. Oh, the headwind. Well, imagine if you could just take the edge off of that and you actually just slip through it instead. It's so nice. All of a sudden you quit worrying so much about wind direction. It's about the same as drafting off of somebody, having aero bars. And once you get the fit dialed in, it's actually more comfortable. You can sit here and ride in them all day. And then I get to see more go further. If I didn't have aero bars, I don't think I would have ridden all the way to Independence. But because I can do 2 miles per hour faster into a headwind, and I got a headwind the entire way back, you know, probably go over a 5-hour ride. It's like half an hour. And also easier. So it's shorter and, well, less time and easier. But then I could go further in the same amount of time and see more amazing things. Oh, got a vehicle stopped up ahead. There's an emergency transmission tower for the whole region. It takes data from Houston and Galveston coming that way and relays it up towards Waco at Dallas. All right. My phone's been vibrating in my back pocket. Let's pause here. See what's up, and also with these ambulances. Let's say it could be a fire. That was interesting. All right, here's some roadies. Okay, love you, bye. There you go. Nice and silent little road bikes. Let's see what these people got going on here. Drafting off of each other. They got a little bit of a tailwind. Not too worried about that. Yeah, next is a sunscreen stop with a view of a really pretty church.
Hi.
How's it going? Looking good. It's got a U.S. Postal Service jersey on, yellow one. Okay. Starting to smell smoke. I actually have a forestry degree. That pops up useful more often than you would think. This really high wind that we got, even though it's been raining off and on, it's still been a hot summer. But if a fire gets started, this wind can really get you a wildfire spreading. This is some little community right here. I don't remember the name of it. Sometimes we'll come in from that way. But the wind's coming from this way and I can start to smell smoke, which means the fire's probably that way. And I just saw that fire engine go that way. When I used to do mapping for Brazos County, see this pond, there's a pond right here. Maybe you can't see it because the camera's down here. But we would map out where every single, they're called a tank. Cattle watering tank. That's actually where battle tanks got their name from. And we would keep a track of where all of them are on a map. So fire department, volunteer fire department can pull a water truck up to it and just suck water out of it to go take it to a fire. Yeah, it looks like a lot of drama going on. Well, that's the church. Maybe the church is on fire. I don't see much smoke over there though. We're gonna stop up here and put on sunscreen and then maybe get a view. We know it's another high point. We've got a radio tower. At the top of this hill, there's a good view that way. Maybe we can see a little bit more about what's going on. All right. That is church. This community might be called William Penn, which is very 13 colony sounding, but it's got a beautiful church out here in the middle of the countryside. Really took me aback the first time I saw it. We're gonna put on sunscreen right here. And look at this tree, this beast. So great. And a little bit of poison ivy right there, so we're gonna stay away from that. We're gonna do this here. And I don't see much smoke coming from right there. So I guess we'll find out later where that fire's coming from. Okay, so the trick is I take off all my electronics and stuff so I don't get spray-on sunscreen on it. And then I will be back. And also I don't get in my mouth. There's a bunch of cars coming. That's a fancy car for out here. Okay, good thing to do in long distance bike rides, combine several things at once. Do a pee break, sunscreen, you know, things like that, all at the same time. And yeah, Emily was just calling just to see what was up, how I was doing. And I said, I am doing better than good. So let me take off all this gear, put on some sunscreen, and we can get going again. Okay, one pro tip. I only recently started learning to do this. If you have a Camelback hose, stick it in your jersey when you do your spray on sunscreen, and then you don't get sunscreen on your Camelback hose and then in your mouth. Yeah. Which reminds me I could use some of that. Okay, so sunscreen back into the thing. Somebody with a canoe. You'll see that often around here. And also, the reason, I have a really interesting theory, good theory, I believe, on why Ironman athletes, successful ones, are actually really good at long distance gravel biking. Is because in an Ironman, you have to bike, if you're fast, 5 hours, right? And then run a marathon, which is another 4 hours. And then you're starting to get into 9 hours of, this is very similar to gravel biking, you know, and the longer you go, the more beat up you get. But what you learn with good triathlon coaching and all that is very even and controlled pace on the bike and not reacting to other people and not climbing hills too hard. And power meters changed Ironman. Motorcycle. All right, yeah. Thanks, man. Power meters changed Ironman big time, because now we were able to, you know, meter ourselves. But if you're a gravel biker or a long distance road cyclist, you could not learn enough from these people about, during the first 2/3 of the race, holding back on climbing up hills. Because what they teach you I'm an Ironman coach too, by the way. And what we teach people is, it's a fact. If you go over threshold to the point of where your legs burn pretty good for like 30 seconds, each one of those counts as burning, quote unquote, a match. Right? You burn 3 matches and you have ruined your run. But so let's say it's a long bike ride, like a 150 mile gravel race or something like that. It's basically the same thing. You've ruined the last 4 hours. And in Ironman, you're going to be walking the marathon. And a gravel biking, you're going to be walking the uphills and cramping and unable to pedal. Exact same thing. So it's so interesting watching gravel racing where people take off, they go so hard. An interesting thing about gravel racing too is after the initial pack kind of breaks up, it's a solo effort. Because, pretty much, because of the nature of gravel, it's not like road. You can't ride in a peloton on a gravel road like you can on pavement. Because if you get too close to the people in front of you or around you, you'll crash. Because there's all these hidden obstacles that you can't see. Potholes and rocks, or you'll flat. And so, because you'll hit something. So people don't draft in gravel anywhere near. That's a good marginal gain right there. Know this, in gravel racing, back off of the person in front of you. And you will be much more likely to finish faster because you didn't get a flat tire or crash. Got a tight turn right here. Very low visibility. I almost got hit by a mail truck out here the other day. Oh, this is nice. So then gravel becomes much more, yeah, look how rough this is. Oh, I love it. Of an individual time trial, just like Ironman. Ironman, you're not allowed to draft. Gravel, it's difficult to draft. And you end up, gravel's also more technical and stuff, so it breaks apart the pack naturally anyway. So you end up pretty soon, and then for long periods of time, riding solo. So if you're going to be riding solo, one, train solo so you're psychologically used to it. Won't bother you at all. You learn to enjoy it. But the other one is aero bars. You can just park yourself in these things and just glide along. So nice. And also I wanted to give a shout out to Culprit Bikes. These aero bars are awesome. They are way better than I even expected. The more I get used to them, the more I'm like, this is definitely the way aero bars are going to be shaped in the future more often. And I can see why they're shaped this way on really high performance time trial bikes. You can really lay down in them and get really comfortable. And it didn't take more cushioning, it just took more length. And that's fine because they're flat. That's plenty aero. I guess if you pitch them together and then tilt them up, you get a little bit of shielding too. It's actually even faster. I'm loving these things. Because I am almost 3 hours in. Yeah, 2 hours and 57 minutes. And I have yet to push so hard on a hill that my legs burned badly. When you start to feel what we used to think was lactic acid, when you start to feel that burn, you back off to very low. You put it, it's like your oven's on simmer or low, or your cooktop, I mean. People get all confused about aero bars. Like, it's dangerous. Well, dude, when it starts to get a little weird, you just get out of them. That's the problem. See? Like that. Just get back in them again. So nice. And then you practice this in training. Each dose of that really low, slight burn for long periods of time improves you. It makes it so you can handle more next time. Going over that to the point of near failure, like if you're lifting weights and you do reps until basically almost failure, that's bad for endurance training. And it's really bad for finishing an endurance race. Look at this, it's so pretty. I think we got a big hill coming up. Time, even though you wouldn't think it, but because there's such a strong headwind, just parking yourself in the aero bars. Nice. All right, we're going to use up the last little bit of this battery. Go through this tiny little just intersection of a town. I love this. Makes an S turn through here. So cool. But also to mention sunscreen. Something that I learned. It's also just obvious. People put on sunscreen way too early. Now, the sun, isn't even a factor until about 10 o'clock in the morning. So you can save your money and put on your sunscreen at 10:30. People put it on way too early, and then they don't put it on again anywhere nearly enough. So if I do 10:30, 10:45, I got about 2 hours left. That should cover me pretty much to the end of the ride. And I just did one application. And so one thing I do is on my bike computer, if I'm doing an Ironman or a gravel race, I have the time of day on my bike computer so I can see. And when it starts to get to be about 10:30, I'll pull over and do a pee break, multitask, put on sunscreen, and then I'm good to go. All right, we're going to turn to the headwind up here, and then also I'm going to put in a fresh battery for an awesome section of road that's coming up. All right, we are about to hit Sidewinder Road, a real treasure around here. That's actually not the real name of it. Let's see what the real name of it is. It is net downhill for several miles, and it's just got tons of little bends in it. William Penn Road, so maybe it's McCraven School Road. It's so beautiful. There's this little intersection out here. We just came off of Gas Camp Road from that way. And I switched out the battery so we can make sure we get this whole Sidewinder Road thing. That goes out to a highway. Isn't that pretty? So when I discovered this road, it's going uphill into a headwind. But it had so many turns in it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So what's actually special about this road is I took it the other direction one time and was like, whoa, this is so neat, because you get to drift a little bit in the turns. It's just kind of what gravel's all about. It's not entirely downhill. There's little ups and stuff. You got to be careful of cars coming around the corner. And unfortunately today we got a headwind. Oh, but there's a special treat at the end of this road. There's a nudist colony. You won't be seeing any naked people today. But it's pretty cool. It's the Live Oak Nudist Resort or something. I don't know if they have named nude in the name of it. Clothing optional. Right before the nudist place is another place that's a bed and breakfast. It's probably clothing optional too, but it's wacky. Where you're supposed to take off your shoes, walk around and get grounding, absorb the frequencies of the earth, kind of stuff. But people think Texas is all ultra conservative. People with a stick up their butt. But dude, there are some crazy hippies out here. I believe it's some really fun stuff. Great people out in the countryside. So hopefully, combined with a little bit of the previous two episodes talk about Wu Wei, which is, I believe, the Chinese concept of letting things unfold, which goes all the way back to Taoism, yin yang. Very old concept. You can't force things. With Ma, the Japanese concept that negative space, the absence of things, which is very Zen, by the way. Zen's about remove. Then you can really appreciate now it's getting better. Hold it down a second. You can really appreciate what you're trying to do because you can get around it. You got margins on the sides of the page to hold on to. You can view it from this angle, from that angle, and breathe. Get a little bit of space. And they work hand in hand. You create that space. You might say that Ma comes first. You create space. I'm unclipping and putting my foot out so I can drift. And also if a car comes around this corner. With that space, you can let things unfold naturally. And then back to endurance sports, you train and set up your life in a way that things, yeah, look at this, I love this right here, unfold naturally. Then you're training yourself, and the improvements are just amazing. And then there's also another Japanese concept of learning, and then you break away, which is giving yourself some space, and then when you come back, you transcend. Better than, you're a different person, which is very much Dark Night of the Soul. Which is, a lot of people don't know, but very much Batman, The Dark Knight. It's a reference to that. You come up against an insurmountable obstacle, and you can't win with who you are. So you have to change. But to change, it's also Luke Skywalker, Star Wars. So the Dark Night of the Soul is where you leave, and then you come back a changed person, like in, let's say, Return of the Jedi, where Luke comes back as a Jedi Master. He's a very much different person. But he had to leave and then come back. But the third part is you learn some new skill. It could be anything. Oh, this is so much fun. Then you leave, and then that's your marginal space. And then when you come back and look at it again with your new skill set that you've had time to absorb, just like when you take a rest day, rest week, and you let your training sink in and absorb, you're a whole other level of expert or athlete or whatever. And I can tell you, I've been there where, like, if you train like that long enough, you could definitely feel that you are a whole other level of athlete. You're basically, it's like you're a pro, except you got a day job, so you can't be that good. Pro's still going to be better. It trains all the time. But there's this level of just incredibleness, but also calmness. It's like, man, there's that place. That weird, wacky place. We're coming up on the nudist colony. But the place you finally reach is, that was the end of Sidewinder Road there. It's pretty cool. I love all those 90-degree turns. See, they got their high wall up. Welcome to Live Oak. a private clothing optional, whatever. I know of 2, maybe 3 people that actually come here. They say it's fun. I've never done it. Like Jerry Seinfeld, I'm like, I have to start wearing leopard print underwear or something. See a nice little wooden bridge right here. But you reach this, if you train right like that, then you reach this point of like your heart rate's really low, you have a crazy high FTP, and you just don't get tired. And you could just go all day. And then the world opens up with all kinds of events you can do. All right, I am gonna save the camera and turn it off for a little bit because we got one more cool little community to go through that's pretty special. And we'll be right back for that. Okay, we just turned down Swede Road, and this is an old slave plantation where the owner, I'll tell you the full story here in a second, gave the land after World War II, after the Civil War, over to the slaves that were freed. And I've actually made friends with some of the people, the owner or the guy that runs the church. Because I asked one time if I could get water from the back of the church. And he said, yeah. So very interesting. And this is actually pretty common all over Texas. Let me tell you this one guy's story. So Mr. Swede came from South Carolina or something and set up shop here to be a slave owner or a plantation and whatever. Let's say in the 1850s. Business was good, as it were, being a slave owner. For a little while, and then the Civil War broke out, and Lincoln freed the slaves, one thing after another. The guy goes bankrupt. I think he had a relationship, which is very common, with some of the slaves. End up with kids and whatever. But he turned the land over, gifted it. I think in his will when he passed away, to the slaves that used to work on the land. And this whole stretch of beautiful high ground, big area up here, is all owned by the Swedes, which, that's kind of the funny twist in it, is the guy's name is S-W-E-E-D-E. He's not Swedish, I think, at all. Just a coincidence. They took his last name. And so one time I was getting water at the back of the church, made friends with the guy, and he was telling me about how they own all this. And I was like, wow, this is so beautiful up here. But there's these, they're called freemen communities, where still you got, after the war, you still got segregation and people being treated like crap. So they tend to live together, started their own schools and churches, really had great communities. And like I was saying, they're scattered all over Texas. I know of 2 more on the way home. But this is one where I actually talked to somebody that owned it. Yeah, see, it says, let's look at this. This one's spelled Swede, S-W-E-E-D. There's not an E at the end of it. I'm trying to remember which way do I turn. I'm gonna have to look at my map. But isn't that cool? And he's invited me to church service and barbecue, and someday I'm going to take him up on it. So let's look at my map. Okay. I don't know. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. There's one more turn. This would be an accident to turn on this road. Not an accident, mistake. We go just a little bit further. I felt like that. I felt with my biking body. If you're into gravel riding or long distance training, get a bike computer with a decent sized screen. There's a pretty horse. And a touch screen so you can pan and zoom a whole lot easier. Makes it way easier to use the map. If you don't have one with touch screen, you get kind of turned around, you're looking to find your way, and you're out remote where your phone doesn't work because there's no signal. This is huge. All right, so I think I'm gonna turn the camera off. This might be the end of the video, so I can save the battery in case something happens. Create a little margin for myself. From pretty much sort of this road on, it's all stuff that we've already been on this morning, you've already seen. And I'm going to listen to some podcasts and enjoy a nice ride the rest of the way home and have an IPA at the pool, and had a nice even ride, zone 2. Oh, that was it. God damn, there's always one more thing. One more thing. Hold on, let's get past this part where you can hear me on this uphill. So on the climbs, it's been like this, but I noticed looking down, because I'm riding by myself, I'm climbing stuff at like 250, 260, 270, maybe I'm at 280 right there. Watts. Never going too hard. It just did 4.5 to 5 hours of that. So good for good training. And still climbing stuff. That's really good power for climbing. And my legs feel almost as good as right when I started out. It's pretty crazy. All right, we are back in town. Save the battery. Look at the Shero. Look at the Shero. Wow. Bikes do have the right. This used just to be a pasture in the corner. Now it's this crazy intersection. Anyway, let's see. I'm gonna go, I've gone just over 80 miles. Probably 80.2, something like that. I just took a left turn now, so it's hard to tell, but I was riding into a headwind like crazy, really strong headwind the whole way back. But it wasn't bad, because I just tucked in the aero bars, just relaxed. And just over 5 hours. which goes to prove that having just a little bit extra fuel and a little bit extra water, so it really works. I wasn't stressed at all. I was able to not try to push it to get here sooner. Wear myself out. Point. And yeah, nice little ride there. I saw this, let's go up the hill. There you go. I saw the craziest cycling setup. It was a guy on a recumbent, you know, not totally laid flat on his back. Just kind of like sitting up, but recumbent, leaning back. Head to toe in neon yellow. Out in the middle of nowhere. We always joke with Emily that that's going to be me someday. But it made me think of like a really good video to make. After I make the first, 10, 20 videos of explaining how I do things, it'll get old. And then just go out for rides and leave the camera in standby mode and just take video of the crazy stuff that I see out there. Anyway, pulling up to the house, looking good. Yeah, 80.5, 5 hours and 8 minutes, 91 degrees. Very, very nice. Dang it, I forgot to mention, I was doing 350 calories per hour, 100 calories per hour of Gatorade powder, like 150, of table sugar, maybe 250, and then 100 calories per hour of maltodextrin powder. And I almost finished it all in 5 hours. Got just a little bit left. I feel great. And then for caffeine, I mixed in Gatorade Twitch, just one packet, and I spread it between my two fuel bottles when I was making my fuel. So 200 milligrams of caffeine over 5 hours. That's after my cups of coffee this morning before I even got started. And that's, I'm not racing, so I'm trying to just keep it chill and get a good training. So you don't want to be overly caffeinated and then try too hard and then be dying the rest of the way back. So that's it. Okay.